Being here in Oakland has been a treat, and it's great to see so many people coming here. Some huge announcements and really positive energy filling up this space of ours. You know, for many of us, we're fortunate. Our work takes us to some of the most beautiful places on the planet, whether right here in downtown Oakland along the shores of Lake Merritt, or often some remote treasured landscape somewhere. We regularly experience the benefits from time spent outdoors, the joy, the goodness for mind and body, the lifelong learning and the strong sense of community. And for many of us, we actually get paid to do this. And yet we have a problem. The benefits that accrue from meaningful experiences in the outdoors do not accrue to everyone. They're highly dependent on one's zip code, race, upbringing, financial resources, and more. And because of this, there's an ever-widening gap between those who experience the benefits of the outdoors and those who do not. This may be one of the top human rights issues of our time, and it gets virtually no airtime. In addition to my role with the Pisces Foundation, I'm also chair of the Blue Sky Funders Forum. And Blue Sky's mission is to expand and deepen the philanthropy that advances this movement to help shrink that gap. From the first Blue Sky convening of funders, practitioners, and researchers in 2011, there's been a common question asked over and over. How can we talk about our work and elevate the importance the outdoors can and should play in people's lives? And how can we talk about it in a way that brings more resources, more awareness, and more action to further shrink that gap? In the beginning, we had a lot of ideas and lively discussion, but not a lot of consensus. However, there's always been clear consensus that to increase equitable access to the benefits of time spent in nature, it is work that we cannot do alone. We must expand our circles and engage new and different partners who may not share our same missions, but who share our same values. Blue Sky, together with hundreds of stakeholders across the country, has been working for the past 2 years to do just this. The result was a commitment to craft a shared narrative, an engaging new story that could help shape how people think about and prioritize the outdoors. The new narrative would be a tool that all of us can use to lift up our work and to increase the resources available to do it. Of course, the assumption going in then is that the current way we're all talking about our narratives around connecting people to nature was not resonating outside of this community. And research bore this out. Whoop, backwards one. There we go. Here's what those outside of our movement believe about time spent outdoors. Essentially, it's a nice to have. They don't understand the benefits or the equity issues, and the entire narrative sounds elitist. So the goal then became, how do we change this narrative from that nice to have to one of it being a human right, an absolute necessity, and a national priority, with equity at the forefront. Layer onto this the fact that our messaging is all over the place. Some of us talk about environmental education, others about positive youth development, others social justice, health and wellness, and everyone's favorite catchphrase, stewardship. It's a potluck of vocabulary seasoned with our version of inside baseball, rich with acronyms and assumptions. So from there, we began a 2-year process involving hundreds of stakeholders from throughout the country. from major urban centers to small rural towns, from within our own circles, as well as to those who have nothing to do with our work and who have never heard of us. We went far and wide. But we began by talking with our friends and colleagues within this movement, hundreds of them, and quickly found ourselves in a good news, bad news type scenario. The good news was that there is strong interest in narrative change. The bad news is that there are many, many, many opinions as to how to go about that. To be honest, I wasn't always sure that we were going to come out the other end with something that worked for everyone. Our community is full of strong missions, unique approaches. Would it be possible to find alignment without being so vague as to make the narrative meaningless? We persisted, and our consultants helped us take an important step back. We stepped back from examining the messages to focusing on the values that underpin our mission. And when we started looking at values, we wanted to see which of our values in this community matched up with the values held deeply with potential new partners who could help motivate this movement and advance it with the resources that are going somewhere else, but who could be funneled directly into the important work we're doing. So we conducted extensive interviews with leaders from across the spectrum of potential new partners. We wanted to find where our values aligned with their values. And as you can see, we're focusing mostly on the funded community. Massive amounts of philanthropy that flow into social causes. How could we convince some of those philanthropists to focus on the important work that we all do here? We wanted to find that value alignment, and so we tested with these folks specific messages, narratives, and vocabulary, and we learned a ton. Our potential partners highly value two things that we also value in here: strengthening communities and an equitable, inclusive, and diverse society. By building the new narrative on top of these values, we are able to align our work most closely with the priorities of those we seek to help expand impact. The external testing also illuminated that just time and nature will be continued to be seen as a privilege or that nice to have, and if we continue to use elitist language. Words such as nature, resilience, stewardship, conservation, environmentalism, all tested poorly with these new partners and added to the perception that the outdoors are far away, grand, and only for people with the time, money, and inclination to go there. The breakthrough was the discovery that when we express the benefits of time spent outdoors as a basic human right, one that everyone deserves the opportunity to experience, it opens doors for new awareness and action. The key is that we must frame the benefits as a basic human right, not time spent outdoors. Time spent outdoors is the means to the end we seek. We heard loud and clear that there are simply too many pressing priorities for time spent in nature to be one of them. A healthy community, however, is seen as a human right. A healthy community as a basic human right is a broad enough narrative for every organization in the movement to fit into, while also retaining for you to participate and gain access to the resources that can help us all start speaking in a way that grows our movement beyond the tent. There will be message maps, story templates, communications toolkits, capacity building webinars, trainings, and much more. And this is an important point. Let's be really clear. No one owns this narrative. This is the narrative for all of us. This is the story of us. And we're already seeing how framing the benefits of learning, playing, and growing in nature as a human right is powerful. Richard Louv, on the first day of this conference, talked about some pretty mainstream ways that this is happening. So check out the latest covers of Outside, well, that didn't work. How about that one? Check out the latest covers of Outside Magazine, Sierra Magazine, and this recent piece in the Seattle Times. And you can see how the benefits of the outdoors, framed in 3 different ways, can be compelling, all in the same frame of the benefits as human rights. There's no question that our work is gaining traction. And yet we know that the problems we face and the complexity of those problems require that we do more, and that we do more together. We must, we can, and we will. A tremendous acknowledgement to the Children in Nature Network. 2 of their awesome leaders have been deeply engaged in this narrative work over the last number of years. Executive Director Sarah Milligan-Toffler, and the one and only CJ Goulding and his special brand of Goulding Magic. Is CJ in the house? They have been deeply engaged in this work and advocated to keep the focus on the end we seek. Stronger, healthier communities where our children and our children's children can experience the outdoors and accrue the many benefits that it delivers. Our friend Richard Louv, who's coming up on this stage shortly, is a leader in effectively using powerful language to bring new audiences and awareness into this work. I like to think of the shared narrative as being an evolution and an extension in the work that Rich began for so many, and that it adds a contemporary twist. I look forward to working with all of you as we move this movement out of the margins and into the mainstreams, and to attract the kind of resources that we all know are necessary for the trail ahead. Thank you so much for welcoming me here today. It's been awesome to be with you. These last number of days have been so inspiring. Your stories, your passion, your life experiences, this is good work, and the work continues. Thank you.